Hi guys, this is Andrew with rockclass101.com, and in this week's ukulele lesson, Matt's going to be teaching you how to play a traditional Hawaiian tune called Loke Lani. So as you guys heard and saw in the performance, it's really heavy on triplet strum. It's kind of like an etude that helps you tackle that technique. Now, the triplet strum is a really interesting technique because there's not one way to do it. There's tons of ways to do it. So if you're new to this technique, I'd highly encourage you to check out this lesson that we streamed live about a week or two ago, and Matt teaches you 3 different ways to do the triplet strum. So check out that lesson, pick the way that it feels the most comfortable for you, and then jump into this lesson. Now, the last thing that I do want to talk about with the triplet strum is that it's really vital for you to understand the rhythm that you're playing. So the triplet strum uses 8th note triplet rhythm. So if you're new to that rhythm, I'm going to link in the description box below a lesson that covers it in complete detail. Now, as far as this lesson, you're going to be learning the entire tune in this video. So if you want to get the tabs to print off and follow along with as a PDF format, you can click this link right here or go to the site rockclass101.com, do a search for Loke Lani. Also on that page is the on-screen tab viewer. Now this is a really cool feature where you can hit play, you can watch the tab scroll across in real time, you can highlight bars to loop sections, slow it down to any speed you wish. Just a really great asset for getting this tune down that much easier. Alright guys, so I'm going to go ahead and hand it off to Matt to teach you how to play this, and then I'll see you at the end of the video.
Today we're going to be working on an arrangement of Loke Lani, a traditional Hawaiian song. And to really get the sound for the song, we need to use a technique that's called the triplet strum. And to do this technique, the way I like to do it is to take my index finger on my strumming hand and do that as my first down, but leave my thumb kind of part way up so that my thumb can go down for the second motion of 3. And for the final third, I'm going to take my thumb and come up over the strings. So it goes down with my index, down with my thumb, up with my thumb, and my index sort of stays underneath the thumb to get ready to do it again in the event that I want to do something else. So when you're playing with this, it's really important that you get comfortable with each one of these motions. You'll notice that as you build up speed, the fingers oftentimes will move less individually and be sort of fixed. You'll notice while I'm playing, I'll oftentimes have about 2 inches between the fingers to get comfortable doing the 1, 2, 3 as this sort of consistent motion. So you want to work on that technique, or if you have another way that you do the triplet strum, it will work with this. Any sort of triplet strum will work. That's just the one I prefer. But let's go ahead and dive into the song with melody A. So to start here, we're going to play a C chord, take our pinky finger, place it on the 7th fret of the A string, and we're going to do a down strum with our index, and then we're going to do the triplet strum, and then follow that with another down strum. So that first measure, really slow without much timing here, is just this down, triplet, down. And to play it more in time, it should be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now going on to the second measure, we're going to do the same rhythm with our right hand. You'll notice we're going to use this rhythm a ton with our strumming hand. But we're going to switch the chord, and all that we're going to do here is our pinky is going to come off and our ring finger is going to come on to 5 of the A string. We're going to do the exact same rhythm. So that's a down, triplet, down. And in time is something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... So those 2 measures now consecutively should sound something like this to start. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now we go on to measure 3, and you'll notice that we're going to just continue walking down. Our index finger now is going to play the 3rd fret on the A string for a C chord, exact same rhythm. So that same down, triplet, down, which in time is something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... And now as we go to measure 4, we're going to start off the same, still playing this C chord with this index finger here on a down, But then when we go to the triplet, we're going to slide that index finger down to 2, do the triplet strum, and then on the down strum that follows the triplet, we're going to take that finger off to be all open. So measure 4 is going to start with the C chord here on a down, triplet on 2, and then down on open. So that sounds something like this in time. 1 and 2 and 3 and... And measure 3 and 4 now should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... So now at this point, we're going to go on to measure 5, which is going to be the first time we play more than one finger on the ukulele. It's going to be a G7 chord. So we take our middle finger, place it here on the 2nd fret of the C string, index finger here on the 1st fret of the E, and ring finger here on the 2nd fret of the A. We're going to just hold this chord the whole way through and play the same rhythm we've been doing, which is going to be a down, triplet, down. So in time, that's like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... As we go into measure 6, we're going to now play a D chord. The way we're going to do this is bar across the 2nd fret with our index finger and add our pinky here to 5 on the A. We're going to start with the down on this chord, and then for the triplet, same rhythm, but for the triplet here, we're going to take our middle finger and place it on the 3rd fret of the A string, removing our pinky. So now we have 2, 2, 2, 3 for the triplet. And then for the last down, we're going to take that middle finger off, leaving the bar all the way across so that we have 2, 2, 2, 2. So that measure is something like this. It goes down, triplet, down. And in time, that's this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... So measures 5 and 6 together should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... From here we go on to measure 7, which measure 7 is almost exactly the same as measure 3. It's the same chord, a C chord, and it's the same rhythm, but the way that we play this C chord needs to be just a little bit different, because in this case, that 3 on the A, we want to play with our middle finger. And there's a couple reasons for that. One is we just came from that D7 where that middle finger played the 3 on the A just a moment ago, and because of where it's going to head from here. So we're going to play that C chord now with the middle finger, and then triplet down. So in time that sounds something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... And then we go on to measure 8. And measure 8 is going to be still starting with the C chord on down, and then we're going to move the index finger to 2 on the A and do a triplet there. And then end with a down strum on 3 on the A. So that's down, switch with the triplet, back on the down there to 3. So in time that sounds something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... And measure 7 and 8 together should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... So at this point, it actually repeats these bars, goes all the way back to measure 1. So that we can hear this, I'm going to play measures 1 through 8, which is what we've just worked on. And then I'm going to mention that we're now at the repeat and kind of play it back through again and then talk about measure 9. So measures 1 through 8 in time should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now we go back to measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, Now here, instead of going to 8, on the second repeat we go to measure 9. And measure 9 is going to be a down on the C chord, and then it's going to be triplet on 2, and then the last down, instead of coming back up like we did on 8, we go down to 1, which is going to create some tension going into the next section. So measure 9 sounds like this in time. 1 and 2 and 3 and... And now from this point, we're going to go on to melody B. So melody B is going to introduce an F chord at the beginning, and what's neat is the rhythms are going to be mostly the same. We're going to have a couple different ones in here, but when you get that down with the triplet, the song's pretty easy. That's the hardest part. So at measure 10 with melody B, we're going to start with an F chord, middle finger here on 2 of the G, index finger here on 1 of the E. We're going to do a down, triplet, down. Same rhythm that we were doing before, just now on this F chord. So that in time, 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now as we go on to measure 11 is going to be a little bit different because now we're doing 3 down strums instead of any triplets. So it's actually a little bit easier with the right hand, a lot easier. We don't have to do the triplet. But now we introduce a bit of a stretch with our fretting hand. So the chord, the F chord that we're going to be playing, we're going to be adding what's called the 6 to the chord, which is adding the 5th fret of the A string, the D note. So the pinky is going to stretch all the way up to 5 on the A, which is a huge stretch to get these fingers on. And if you really find it difficult, think of it like a yoga pose. You might not be able to get the first time you try, but with practice and holding, you'll be able to gain that flexibility. We're going to do a down on that. And then we're going to take our ring finger and place it on 3 of the A, or we can slide our pinky to 3 on the A. Both are okay, but either way we're moving to 2, 0, 1, 3, so that 5 is coming off. And then we're taking all of the fingers off the A string for the open F chord with the open A, rather. And so measure 11 sounds something like this. It's down, down, down. In time, 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now measure 10 and 11 in time should be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now from this point, we're going to go to a C chord on measure 12. We're going to use our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A string. Even though that seems a little bit weird that we're jumping up, it's to set up the measure after this. And so we're going to do the same rhythm here, the down, triplet, down, now on the C chord. So in time, that's 1 and 2 and 3 and... Going on to measure 13 now. We're going to jump up with our pinky to 7 on the A. We're going to do a down strum. And then we're going to use our ring finger on 5 on the A, do another down strum. And then we're going to use our index on 3, another down strum. So that's why we switched to the index on the previous C chord, was because it lets us set up this, right? So that down, down, down in time should be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... So measure 12 and 13 in time should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now we're going to go on to measure 14. We're going to play a G7 chord, which we did earlier. Same rhythm we've been using throughout most of the song. So with that G7, down, triplet, down. So in time, that is 1 and 2 and 3 and... And now we go to measure 15, which is going to incorporate another stretch with a small, rhythmic movement, meaning the strumming hand's going to just do 3 downs, but then the fretting hand has to make a bit of a stretch. So our G7 chord, we take our ring finger off of the A string and stretch our pinky up to 5 on the A. Now, the only reason I mentioned to take the ring finger off is because a way to get this stretch more comfortable is to keep your fingers a little bit more straight. You'll notice with a G7, I'm kind of tilted almost towards my right shoulder. And so when I move the pinky up, I'm trying to keep the fingers more straight up and down to the fretboard. It allows me to get a bigger stretch. And so I'm going to play down there, and then a down on 3, which I can slide my ring finger in, keeping them more straight up and down. And then the last down on the G7, you'll notice I sort of tilt the fingers to fit it in underneath. So that's down, down, down. And in time, 1 and 2 and 3 and... So now 14 and 15 in time should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now from this point, it's going to go to a C chord again on measure 16, but it's a different variation. This time, we've used our index, we've used our middle. Now we're going to use our ring finger. And there's two reasons for this. One is the G7 that we just played had our ring finger here on the A string, so we can just slide it up for this C chord. All right, so that's the first reason. So now we can go down, triplet, down, same rhythm we've been doing, really straightforward. Measure 16 in time sounds like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now, the second reason why we like using our ring finger here is because here on measure 17, we're going to go down and then go to 2, which we could just move our middle finger down. Then we're going to go down again and go to 1 with our index finger. So we can kind of set up one finger per fret as we go through. So 17 in time with those 3 downs should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... And measure 16 into measure 17 should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now at this point, we're going to do another repeat within the song. So if we look at this now, we're going to start, we're on measure 17, and it's going to repeat back to, not the very beginning of the song, but rather the start of melody B. And so as we're looking to play this, I'm going to play now melody B all the way through to that repeat on measure 17. And then I'm going to talk through the repeat into measure 18, which will be the second ending. So starting here with melody B should be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Now we're going to repeat. Now we go on to measure 18, And what's great about measure 18 is it's super simple. Measure 18 is just a C chord played once and ringing for the full 3 bars. So to play 19, or 18 rather, in time should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and... Pretty straightforward, right? So that's now melody B with the repeat. We go to the second ending, which is that C chord that just gets held for the whole time. Now at this point, we're going to go on to melody C. And melody C is quite a bit different than the rest of the song. When we were doing the arrangement of this, we decided to go the route of finger picking for melody C just to switch it up and create a different sort of sound. So when you're working on this melody C part, your triplet strum will not be required. So if you're really struggling with the triplet, this part's a lot of fun to play because it's now going to be using finger picking. Now that being said, this part does really sound best with a high G ukulele because we're going to be using that high G in the sort of ghost note-like fashion of using it to echo the melody. It's really quite fun. But if we start here with measure 19, we're going to play a C chord. And we're going to play it in that same first way we did with the index finger here on 3 of the A. We're going to do a down strum. And then from here, we're going to pluck the open G, open E, open G. And then we're going to go up to 5 on the A with our ring finger, and then the open G. So that measure 19 in time should be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3, and. And now going on to 20, it's all finger picking. We're going to place our 7 on the A with our pinky, play that, open G, 5 on the A with our ring finger, open G again, 3 on the A, then open G again. So you'll notice that open G is just, playing the notes in between the melody. So measure 20 in time should be something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So now 19 into 20 should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Going into 21, we're going to go back to our F chord, middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the G string, index finger here on the 1st fret of the E string, strum through that. Going back to the finger picking, we're going to play the G string, the E string, the G string again. Then we're going to play the A string, but we're going to add 2 with our ring finger, and we want to hold the rest of the F chord there because we want that to resonate throughout this. So we'll play the 2 on the A, and then the 2 on the G, which still be held there. So 21 in time is something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Going on to 22, we're going to continue to hold this shape. We're going to slide our ring finger up to 3 on the A. Then play the G string. Slide the ring finger back down to 2. G string. Open on the A. So taking the ring finger off. And then the G string again. So measure 22 is something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. So measure 21 and 22 should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now going into 23, we're going to play a G7 chord, same way we've been playing it throughout the song. Middle finger here on the 2nd fret of the C string, index on the 1st fret of the E string, ring finger here on the 2nd fret of the A string. Strum through this chord. G string, 1 on the E, which is already there. G string again. Then slide our ring finger up to 3 on the A, and then the open G. So that measure in time, 1 and 2 and 3 and. Going into 24 now, pinky's going to go up to 5 on the A, holding the rest of the G7 chord. So same logic here, having the fingers more straight up and down can help facilitate that stretch. So we play the 5 on the A, open G, then 3 on the A, taking the pinky off and moving the ring finger to 3 on the A, open G, slide the ring finger down to 2 on the A, and then open G again. So 24 in time, 1 and 2 and 3 and. And 23 into 24 in time should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now we go into measure 25, which is the first ending. So measure 25, we're going to go to a C chord, and we're going to play that with our index finger here on the 3rd fret of the A, with a strum down, and then G, E, G, and then we're going to go ring finger on 5 of the A, and then the open G. So 25 looks very familiar because it's the same as measure 19. Let's play that in time. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Going right into 26, we're going to add our pinky on 7 of the A here. Open G, back to the 5 with the ring finger. Open G, back to the 3 with the index. And we hold that for the rest of the beat there. So 26 sounds something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. And 25 into 26, which is the whole first ending of this melody C, should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now at this point, it goes back to measure 19. So that we can hear this in time, I'm going to play 19 all the way through 25 and 26. Then I'm going to do the repeat, and we'll get to measure 27, which is also the end of the song, the second ending. So let's go ahead and try that in time. Should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. Now repeats. Now here at 24, when we finish 24, instead of going on to 25 for the second repeat, you'll notice that we now go to the second repeat, which is marked on measure 27. And 27, pretty straightforward, we're going to play a C chord. Then we're going to play the open G, open E, open G again, and the open C, which finishes the song. So measure 27 in time should sound something like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and. And we just let that ring. And that's the end of Loke Lani. So again, it's a pretty challenging song to get that triplet up to speed. It sounds good at the slower speed that we were just playing it here, but it really starts sounding really nice when you start playing it really quickly. It's one of the first tunes that I actually learned on the ukulele, and it really helped me get more comfortable with strumming and strumming quickly. What's cool about it is the triplet strum is a technique that you'll never truly master, only in the sense of you continue to get better with it. Sometimes I'll do it, now after doing it for 15 years, and think, wow, this is the best I've ever done this technique. It sounds great today. So it's pretty exciting how that technique just continues to evolve with you as a player. So I'll look forward to seeing you guys for the next lesson here at Rock Class 101. As always, if you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below or on the forums over at Rock Class 101, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much.
All right, guys, so I hope you enjoyed this lesson. This is a really great tune for tackling the triplet strumming, really getting comfortable with that technique. And can we just pause for a moment and just say, wow, how good Matt is. So it's just, it's so much fun to watch him do that technique. And it sets the bar for something to aspire to, as well as myself. Like I want to get better at that technique, and he really inspires me. But anyways, I just want to give you guys a quick reminder. If you do want to get the tabs to print off, keep for your records, that was available at this link right here, or you can go to the site rockclass101.com and do a search for Loke Lani. And don't forget too, is that really awesome on-screen interactive tab player is on that page too. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this lesson, and we will see you in the next one. Take care.